Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my channel. Today we are also going to talk about SSL encryption and TCP. But instead of Java and Python, today we are going to talk about how to do that with C and C++. So we are going to create two applications, client and server, where client is going to connect to server in order to receive one message. That message is of course going to be encrypted with SSL. And this is going to be one basic example in order for you to understand this technique. And for the sake of encryption, I have this security directory in my workspace with three files. We have certificate authority certificate, I have broker key and broker certificate. This certificate itself signed by certificate authority certificate, and it corresponds with broker key. And don't worry, I named these two files broker key and broker certificate because I'm using it with my Mosquito server. But of course it can work for this example too. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create three files. So server CPP, another one it's client.cpp, and I want one more, make file for compilation, and I'm going to do this file right away. So build tab, and I'm going to use G++ compiler. We are going to compile server.cpp with optimization level 2. You can use G if you want to do debugging, not necessary for this episode, but I'm going to use it anyway. Output is going to be local directory same, so server.bin, and we have to link SSL, and we have to link crypto. I'm going to copy this line for the client, client.cpp, client.bin. And yes, I know that this is not the proper way to write make file, but I like it better this way because we have only two lines and it's going to work anyway. I'm going to save this, and let's go with server first. So first I'm going to do includes. So include first is going to be stdio.h. Now include unistd.h. Now string.h, signal.h, sys socket.h, arpa inet.h, include open SSL /SSL, one more, open SSL error.h. And be very careful, especially with this first file, because for the second file I'm going to copy entire content, and then we are going to make adjustment for the client side. I'm going to create one char array, call it address. In here we are going to keep address of our local machines, so 127.0.0.1. this is local IP address, and this address is not going to be necessary for the server side, but then when we copy it to the client we are going to use it. Let it be like this anyway. We are going to need int port. I'm going to use 10,001 port. Now we are going to create integer create socket We can of course do all of this in a single function, but I like this better. So I'm going to create integer s. This is value that we are going to return from this function. Now we need struct sock address in addr. Now we are going to set configuration for this address. So addr as in family, and that's if init addr sin port. We are going to use h tons, and we're going to provide our global variable port. And now for address, so it's going to be sin addr dot s addr, and also h tons in addr any. This is going to refer to our local IP address. We don't need to use this variable address for now. We are going to do that with the client. Now s socket if init sock stream, where is it? It's sock stream and 0. So in here we have created our socket, and now we are going to check whether creation is successful or not. So if s is less than 0, that means that we have an error, and we are going to print that error. Print that error. I'm going to write something like socket creation problem, exit with exit failure. All right. Now we are going to bind this address. On server side we are going to bind, on client side we are going to connect. So bind, we are binding this socket. We have to provide the address of addr, but we need to cast this address to struct sock addr pointer, and third argument it's size of addr, and we have to check if this function bind returns value less than 0. That means that we have an error. We are going to copy these two lines. Okay, I'm going to call it binding problem. Exit failure, it's the same, and I'm going to copy this entire statement instead of bind. Okay, I'm going to select all of this. We are going to change this line too. Now we are going to listen, and we have to provide argument of socket and 1. So if we have some problem with this part, I'm going to print listening problem, and we are going to return this socket. All right, now we are going to create another function. It's of type SSL ctx for SSL context, and its pointer create context, I mean SSL context. And first we have to create SSL context method. So it's constant SSL method, its pointer method. Now SSL SSL ctx is SSL context, call it context. Now we are going to initialize this method method is going to be TLS server method. You guessed that on client side we are going to use TLS client method and initialize this context. It's going to be SSL CTX new, and we are going to provide this method as argument. Now we have some checking to do. So if not context, that means that something is wrong with our context. I'm going to copy these two lines. So we are dealing with errors in here. So what I'm going to say in here, creation problem, but we need more data if something goes wrong with this statement. I'm going to use error underscore print errors file pointer. Okay, and we are going to provide std error. All right, now I'm going to check another thing. So if SSL CTX use certificate file, this one is necessary for server side, and we are going to provide context as first argument, and we are going to have another argument where we are going to provide the broker certificate. So this is basically server certificate. I'm just calling it broker certificate. So path is local directory security / broker CRT. Then third argument is SSL file type M, and if this function returns less or equals to 0, we are going to print some error. So I'm going to copy these errors and I'm going to write something like okay, this is fine. And we have to load one more thing. So for the server side, we need broker certificate and we need broker private key. And in here, we are going to use function SSL CTX use private key file. And in here also first argument is going to be context. Broker key, it's called broker key. This is the path, and also SSL file type PEM. But in here can't load private key from the file system. Okay, and of course we are going to return context. All right. And now we are going to write int main. So int args and char double pointer argument list. We are not going to have any argument. Return 0, but it looks better this way. So I'm going to create integer sock and SSL CTX pointer context. Great. Now constant char message. This is message that we are going to send to our client when it's connected. So this is going to be something like, this is welcome message from SSL over TCP p server and cpp or c/++. Okay. Now I'm going to use function signal sig pipe sig egn to ignore broken pipe. Okay. Now sock create socket. I believe that is the name of our function. Let me check. Yeah, it's create socket, and context it's create context. Something is wrong with IntelliSense, but everything is fine in here. Okay. Now, this part you are going to do whether you have one client or more. And for the purpose of this episode, I'm not going to create while loop because we are going to have only one client, we are going to accept communication, and we are going to send a message to it. But if you want to have while loop, you are going to provide these statements. Sorry, I'm going to do like this. All right. So what is in between these two lines, you can put in while loop. Rest goes outside. So what we need in here? We need structure sock addr in addr. This is address of client that is going to be connected to our server. Now unsigned int length, that is going to be size of addr, and we need SSL pointer SSL. Before we accept communication, we are going to print something to our screen, or with printf waiting, like this. Now we are going to accept our client with integer client accept. First argument is going to be socket because socket is necessary in order to accept communication. We are going to provide address of addr, but this address needs to be casted to struct sock addr, and third argument is going to be address of length that we just created, unsigned length, its size of addr, and this needs to be pointer. Okay, now we are going to check whether this accept function returns 0 or less in order to know whether we have error or not. So if client less than 0, we know that we have an error, and I'm going to copy these two lines, okay, like this. Can't connect a client. Now when we have our client, we are going to initialize this SSL with SSL new. We need context for this initialization, and we are going to use function SSL underscore set file descriptor SSL first argument, and second argument is going to be client. All right. And now first we are going to check errors for SSL, and if we don't receive any error, we are going to write message to our client. So if SSL accept, and as argument we are going to provide SSL less or equals to 0, we are going to use error print underscore errors file pointer and stdr error, else we are going to send message to our client. So with SSL write, you guess that function for reading messages is SSL read. We are going to use it with our client. So now SSL write, we are going to provide SSL as first argument. Then we are going to provide a message, and we are going to provide setter length of message. All right. Now when that is done, we have to do some housekeeping stuff with SSL shutdown SSL, then SSL underscore free SSL, and close client. All right, when communication is done, we are going to do a few more things. We are going to close socket. It's sock or socket? Let me check. Yeah, it's sock. And SSL ctx underscore free. We are going to free our context. All right, let me check. Okay, I guess that server side it's completed. Now I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to copy everything to client side. And now we are going to do some modification for our client. All right, this part is fine. So we have local address, we have port, and what we have in here. Int s it's okay, this is also okay, sim family IF init, that's cool. This part where we are setting port with Hutton's port, it's cool, but this is not. Now we have to set destination address, because this socket is going to connect to our server. And I'm going to use a function init python. First argument is going to be if init, second argument is going to be address, and third argument it's going to be our structure. So we are going to provide address of addr.syn addr. Okay, let me check the rest. So as socket if init sock stream, this is cool, this part it's cool. And now we are not going to bind anything, we are going to connect to address. So connect as it's okay, structure sock address address it's okay, size of address. All right, this part it's fine. But now with client side we don't need this listening statement. Let me check with create socket. So SSL method context TLS client method. We need client method in here. All right, context SSL context new method. This is cool. Now if not context, we are going to print error. Now in here, okay, we don't need two statements, because now we are going to use certificate authority certificate for client side. And we are going to use another function, so not use certificate, but load verify location. Of course, first argument it's context. We are going to look for certificate authority certificate, and third argument we are going to use null pointer. Okay, we are also checking for values less or equals to 0. Can't load certificate from the file system. Okay, message it's fine. This part is done. Now we are going to deal with int main. So first thing, we are creating integer socket. That's cool. Then context also cool, but we don't need this message like this, because we are going to receive message on our client side. So I'm going to have 128 bytes, and it cannot be constant. Okay, because it's buffer. Signal, this statement it's fine. Socket create socket, context create context, this is completely cool. And now structure sock address in, that's cool. Length it's also cool. SSL it's in right place, and we don't need to print waiting, and this part it's not necessary. Okay, I'm going to delete this statement. We need to initialize this context, and in here instead of client we are going to provide sock. Now we are going to connect this SSL and now I'm going to show you how to load the certificate as object. If you want to verify validity of this certificate, we are not going to do that validation process now because we are dealing with self-signed certificate, but it's necessary for you to know this. So in order to load the certificate object, you are going to use X509. It's going to be pointer certificate, and you are going to use function SSL get peer certificate, and you are going to provide SSL. But as I said, we are not going to check for validity right now. And in here we are checking for SSL accept. And if we have error, we are going to print that error out. If we don't have any error, we are going to read message SSL. We are going to use buffer message, and in here I'm going to provide 128 directly. Let's see what else we have in here. SSL shutdown, it's fine. SSL free, it's fine, but we don't have client in here. Okay, close sock, it's fine, and SSL context free, context, it's fine. All right, now we can test our application. I'm going to open this local directory, and I'm going to open terminal. One more terminal window with the same address, and first I'm going to make my project. All right, everything is fine. Let's see what we have in here. As you can see, we have client.bin and server.bin, and in this terminal window I'm going to call server.bin. You see, we have waiting, and now we are going to call client. Aha! Okay, I forgot about something. I forgot to print this this message out. Okay, let's do that. With print f, I'm going to print something like message from the server is, and then %s and new line, and I'm going to say message. Okay. Yeah, I need semicolon at the end. Now it's okay. I'm going to open my terminal again, and I'm going to run make again. Okay, it's fine. Let's go with server, and now let's go with client. Yeah, message from the server is, this is welcome message from SSL TCP server and C/++. So guys, that's all for this episode. I hope that you learned something new and interesting. So please like, subscribe, and see ya!